Becky glanced down the street. It looked deserted, but could she risk being out in the open? It was nice and wide and lit by street lamps, but still daunting. What choice did she have, though? She had to find another payphone, ring a cab, and get as far away from this horrid place as she could. She took a deep breath and walked forward. As she neared the bottom of the alley, a man stepped out in front of her and blocked her path. Becky jumped back with a cry. The man held out his hands in a harmless gesture.
"All is well," he spoke in haste. "I am not here to harm you, Thya. I have been sent to aid you."
"I'm a black belt in karate, and these," she waved her arms about, "are dangerous weapons." The man chuckled. "Who is Thya?" She waited for an answer. Becky studied him. There was something friendly and warm about him. Familiar, even. Like herself, he was overdressed in his dark grey three-piece suit. He was elderly, Becky guessed in his 60s, so maybe it was his age that made her feel safe. He looked harmless enough. It was his words that didn't make sense. They unnerved her.
"'Tis urgent we depart," he told her. "We do not have duration."
A shot rang out, echoing through the passageway between the buildings. The man's face turned grave.
"If you do not depart with me, Thya, you will cease to exist."
Before she could question who this Thya was again, Becky heard hurried footsteps rushing towards them. She stared at the man as he urged her to take his hand.
"Come with me,"
he begged. She had two choices. She could leave with the strange man or face her attackers. She favoured the former. Grabbing hold of his hand, they ran down the remainder of the alley and turned right. Farther along, they turned left and found garages on both sides of a lengthy road. Becky watched as the man's eyes widened as two identically dressed men rounded the corner with guns drawn. As she spun around, she noticed a garage door left partly open. Becky pointed to the door. The old man nodded and crawled underneath, pulling her in with him. Both listened for the sound of running feet. Becky squeezed her eyes shut and prayed the attackers wouldn't notice their makeshift sanctuary. To her relief, the footsteps became a distant echo. Silently they waited, and after a few moments more, Salko slid under the garage door to check if it was safe for them to leave. He glanced both ways, then signalled to Becky.
"I trust I have proven that I am not here to harm you. You are obligated to depart with me now. It is no longer safe for you here."
Although she still didn't understand what he meant by it being not safe anymore, she didn't have a clue what to do next, and so took his outstretched hand. They ran back the way they had come. Becky did her best to keep up. However, for an old man, he was extremely fit. She soon lost her footing and fell to the ground, grazing her knee.
"Are you well?"
he asked in alarm.
"I was too hasty. This will not do. Are you well?"
The concern was flattering, yet a little over the top. "I'm fine. Let's just get out of here, okay?" As she stood and brushed off the dust from her clothes, Salko remained on the spot and stared at her.
"Why are you looking at me like that?" "Pardon me. I do not mean to. I cannot believe I stand in your presence."
Before she had time to ask him more questions, shots ricocheted off the walls around them. Salko grasped her hand.
"With haste!"
They raced down an alley. Her heart jumped when she saw another open door. Salko practically dragged her into the abandoned warehouse, only releasing his grip after he shut the door. He used 3 crates sitting beside the wall to bolster it. They looked heavy, yet he moved them as if they weighed nothing. His attention was fixated on the door, but when he turned around to look at her, horror spread across his face. He ran to her and paced frantically.
"You are damaged? 'Tis not forewarned."
He continued to pace before her, ring in his hands.
"What have I done?"
Becky didn't understand what he meant until she felt a stabbing pain in her side. She looked down to see her blouse soaked with blood. She pressed her hand against the wetness and gasped as it came away red. She didn't recall getting hit, but the sight of her blood made her swoon, and she slid down the wall, her legs splayed. Salko knelt beside her, his eyes never leaving the spreading stain, and took her hand into his.
"I will transport you to the healer. Valken is the only one who can aid you."
"Valken?" she whispered. Strength sapped from her body, and her head slumped forward.